never hear the shitty elevator music is in a really nice boutique hotel. The last time you stayed in a boutique hotel and you had that instant welcome. It's those instant welcomes and all that great hospitality that they provide that brings them all those ratings.
You know, that type of experience rarely exists in the shared economy because there are so many individual providers. There's a huge disparity between boutique hotels and the millions of listings on Airbnb and VRBO. In fact, there are over 500,000 listings on Airbnb itself. Unlike boutique hotels, though, these individual hosts don't offer the classic amenities like the concierge service and the minibar.
And that's where we come in. We provide a delightful welcome of curated local brands that people are able to discover throughout their stay. And through our Kishu boxes, these collections of local stories are given by the host to the guest, and it creates a connection. And that connection is deepened throughout the stay and leads to better ratings for those hosts. And then beyond that, there's this great experience of making new relationships and stimulating curiosity for that guest.
But the real value is not just for the hosts and guests. It's also for the communities around them. We believe that small businesses are local treasures and hidden gems of the cities. With Kishu, we go beyond typical Google search because we really know that nothing debases until you find them.
Cool.
Okay.
So do you have any questions?
Oh, yeah. What if I'm allergic to peanuts and my Kishu box has things with peanuts in it?
Great question. If you're allergic to peanuts and your Kishu box has peanuts in it, everything will be packaged in wrappers. It will say on it, this has been processed in a manufacturer. So we are not actually, in Kishu, we're actually not going out there and repackaging things. We're working with vendors who already do this and have things in packages. And very likely they're going to have that on the back of the package. These are things you can buy.
So is a big incentive for the hosts is they gonna get a higher rating?
Yeah. On Airbnb and platforms that use ratings are kind of like an inflated currency. So having a high rating puts you at a better list in the program and makes you more visible and also increases your stay and the amount of money you can charge.
How do boxes get in the homes?
So we're planning on using distribution networks like cleaning services that currently go into Airbnb homes to clean their houses out. And we're also looking at platforms like TaskRabbit to employ deliveries.
If I'm a host, do I pay for the boxes or do I pay for the box like I have to pay for the cleaning fee when I actually go visit Airbnb?
So it would be something that would be provided by the host and paid for by the host. A lot of them are already providing different options already. It's just not in a nice package that provides information as well.
Okay, thank you.
In our office, we just got off on our floor.
That'd be so great.
Awesome. And to introduce you to our team, we are Justin, Kyle, Ada, and myself, Anne, and we're Kishu. Before we dive into our brand and what we deliver and the ecosystem around it, we want to take you into our inspiration. And our inspiration is Scott. Scott is a Chicagoan. He's been dealing with the polar vortex for the last few months and is ready to get out of the city. And he decided what better way but to visit his brother in San Francisco. And his brother said he should check out Airbnb. So he did, he went on, he was amazed by the interface. He checked out all the places, looked at the hosts, looked at guest reviews, and the pictures were awesome. He was so pumped up on it. So he picked a great one, flew Virgin out there. It was his great San Francisco experience. He's ready to dive in, gets to the airport, pulls it out, sees what the host recommends on getting there, takes an Uber to the house, and he's so excited. All this is a new experience. He gets to the house, great neighborhood, beautiful sunny day, and then he opens the apartment door. And unfortunately, it feels empty. It's a nice place. The pictures were accurate, but there isn't any welcome. And it's not just Scott. There are over 550,000 Airbnb listings that all are potentially missing this welcome. They're not bad places. In fact, they're beautiful. A lot of them are really nice. They can go really high end, but there's no consistent welcome in that experience. And this is where there's a huge disparity between sharing platforms like Airbnb and boutique hotels, where you know what you're expecting. They actually have a designed experience that is there to provide welcome and comfort and is curated, and you know what to expect. And that's where we'd like to come in and level the experiential playing field.
Right. With Kishu, we established the welcoming experience between host and guest. But how do we do this? With pairing and collecting local products that are only unique and authentic to the place, the city they're staying at, and in the box that creates the meaningful and immersive experience and sparks the curiosity to go out and explore their local surroundings. For example, this is the box that we put together for San Francisco. As I mentioned, it's just really authentic and unique for the place that highlights the hidden gems or local treasures that you wouldn't otherwise find out. For example, here is like we have that chocolate fills, and they all have their authentic stories to tell, as well as the Kabuki spa or Veda brand, and we have lemon juice. We're not only putting those products in the boxes, we're also telling their stories through the story cards that will be pairing with those products in the box. At this point, we're still prototyping, and we're getting into a content strategy to tell the great story, how we actually spark the curiosity, maybe having a tagline in front that makes them curious about this place, making sure that when they read about it, like they really want to go out and check out the local stores. As well as we included around the corner section that will highlight future things to do when they go there. We also have a place map card that will highlight future the locations, as well as personalize it for the host, including the host little blurb about the place and illustration of the complex. So this is the basic unit that will have one item in there, and then we'll mix and match products with this. And we have to really start getting into the stories that make them memorable, relatable, emotional, as well as how we can make them go viral, so that people actually hear about these stories. So as I mentioned, Scott didn't have to experience this empty feeling when he walked into his Airbnb location. In fact, we collected some codes from Airbnb positive feedbacks that highlights really the gesture that host does for the guests. And it's either something they left behind for the guests, they thought about their experiences throughout the stay. In this slide, you can see that there's either baked bread or wine or something that really helps them to get the meeting, as well as goes beyond the stay for the guests to collect these local treasures.
So, what does this space look like today? Well, you have hosts and you have guests, and you have the community, and they're connected through these platforms like Airbnb and Vimeo. But they live in a community, and they live with their local businesses around them that support that community. Unfortunately, they're not connected through these current platforms. So that's where we come in. Kishu plugs and closes that loop. What we do is, we have hosts purchase a Kishu box through our online platform. So after receiving that order, we then deliver that to the host via distribution networks like TaskRabbit and the cleaners that are currently going into the homes at Airbnb. We pay these cleaners some fee, and then that gift is then given to the guests. After receiving the guests, we hope that the guests feel more connected to that community, that they're taken outside of that home into the local businesses that we highlight through the stories that we share. In addition to that, their elated experience kind of feeds back into the host, as we had mentioned before, where their increased satisfaction and in return increase the ratings for the Airbnb host. What we also intend to do is increase foot traffic going into the local businesses. And so we hope that by pulling them and drawing them in through the stories, they'll go into these local businesses and repurchase these products. So how do we make that come to life? What does it take? What does Kishu need to have in place in order to make that come to life?
This is where we continue our operations part. This is the engine of Kishu. And Kishu is just like any other business. We certainly have many of the same operations that everyone else has. We also have a few special things that are going to allow us to tell these authentic local stories and scale those stories. So let's talk about where we're coming from. Like any business, we're going to, and especially businesses that supply things, We're certainly going to have a warehouse. The very first year, that's probably going to be my garage and my attic. We certainly have those things, and things are going to come out of a central warehouse. We also have IT that we're going to be dealing with. For us, while we have a web front end and we also have a mobile app, we are not a web company. So all of this will be outsourced and hosted somewhere else, like Amazon Web Services or Wix or something like that. We certainly have in-house sales and marketing. That's us. That's our team. We're also working with Square. We want to make the payments for these things as seamless as possible. Whether we're working on the site, whether we're going on somewhere and collecting from the host, we want to make sure that that's done right. But here's where things get really interesting. We may be experts in our local area here in San Francisco, but as we scale, we also realize what we're going to really need to do is speak with local people that are experts in their communities, like bloggers. We've already started to talk to some of these people here. So whether it's Bold Italic or Inside.co or even Mosey for telling some of those experiential stories, these are our partners that are going to help us to scale and continue to tell those stories over and over and over again. We also are going to have two different offerings to begin with. The first offering is we're calling a small box, and that's about 3 items plus those story cards you've heard about. This box, with all of its loaded costs and all of the operational costs that are around in the segments that we just talked about, including the labor to put together the box, this is about $7. We're going to be selling it for $10, which gives us a 30% operating profit margin.
Can you wrap that real quick?
Yeah, we can wrap it up really quick. We also have a large box. You can also see the numbers there, a 40% operating margin. We believe that with 10% penetration just here in San Francisco alone at 100,000 units, we believe there's $4.5 million in revenue for us. Think about it this way, with a mix of different boxes, 75-25 for small and large, that's about $1.5 million. And this is not a small industry. This is actually a giant industry that we're playing in. There's $160 billion spent in hospitality alone, with 6 million guest rooms across all platforms, not just Airbnb, in just the US. So this is a huge industry we're playing in. We've done a lot of validation, as you can see. These are people we've talked to, and in fact, we already have hosts wanting to buy these from us. Thank you.
I don't think you should underestimate the desire for people that are coming that wouldn't pay $1 for the cards, even just the cards themselves. I think as a traveler, it's so great to know just one location that a host loves, but what's even better is a cluster of locations.
Yeah.
Simply because I went to this really great chocolate shop, and that's awesome, but I still have the rest of my day, similar to what Mosey is trying to do. So I don't know. It might be an interesting opt-in to say, that's great that you want to give me chocolate, but I actually just want the cards for the neighborhood.
And with the story cards that you're talking about, I want to also explore the things we have around the corner section that will also live digitally, and that you can access and see other things as well.
Yeah.
Great.
It seems like there's very, very low barrier to entry.
Mm-hmm.
And you also described a couple, maybe I was following that right, you had the quotes in there from guests that had a great experience because their hosts did just this on their own.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what I didn't hear was why you guys think that against that backdrop, people will see value in a service that does this for them. I mean, is it a fact that, some hosts do this, most don't, it's whatever how that story comes out. But I'm just sitting here thinking, well, if I'm a host, this is kind of like cat and obvious stuff, but I do this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit pejorative. I mean, you know what I mean? So
We actually have spoken to superhosts already. So a superhost in Airbnb parlance is someone who does this already, and maybe even spends a lot of money creating welcomes. And what's interesting is we've had hosts already, superhosts say, we would buy this in a second. It would just be one extra thing that would remove friction. We would just do this because it removes some of the friction that we already have for providing it.
maybe that needs to be part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah,
Sure.
And it could. Are you guys thinking about maybe doing this as like an ingredient brand? like Gore-Tex. I mean, people see Gore-Tex on stuff and like, oh, I know that. I want the one with Gore-Tex. Like, there's 2 gray jackets, but I want the one with Gore-Tex.
Yeah.
There's
I
2
think
gray
that-
rooms, but I want the one with Kishu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
That would be great.
We want Kishu me to be, oh, they just Kishu me.
And then, sorry, one comment, then I'll shut up. I heard, and I can't remember who it was, but it doesn't matter. I heard things like, we hope this will happen. You know, this could happen. Once again, that's just when you say stuff like that, I get the impression like, oh, they haven't thought this through at all. But, yeah, great.
Just to echo what Chuck said a little bit, I think your story is more complicated than it needs to be. I think that if you've got the super hosts who are saying, you know, I'd go for this. I mean, there's already a meme out there that add-ons to Airbnb are a good thing. You know, I saw it in the Chronicle the other day, so it's out there. You don't have to sell through the clothes here. You know, people get it. So just kind of get straight there and simplify a little bit.
That's great.
Yeah.
Some really quick feedback on your brand is you never explain the name, so I don't know what the name is. You could, the Gore-Tex is always a secondary thing to the primary brand, which is Patagonia or North Face. So I'm wondering if you want to downplay your brand actually. So you could either play up the brand and have it say, this place is Kishu, or it could be downplayed and you could allow the host an opportunity to have their own brand, and you could provide that branding for the host. That might be more of like a web service or something where they would go and take more ownership of it. So there's 2 ways to, or at least 2 ways to go about the brand. I don't really have any connection with the brand right now, partially because it's not explained to me. Yeah, thank you.
Very similar to where I was going to go, is finding the right balance between making, I guess, a consistent thing so that Kishu has a brand that's desirable, but also not detracting from the experience. And I think people appreciate about something like Airbnb is that it isn't corporatized. It feels personal, and where you can give the hosts opportunities to personalize so that the person that's arriving as a guest knows that somebody actually thought about this and did this for them, not making it difficult for the host, but also making it personalized for the guests. Otherwise, it just feels like, oh, they just bought this box for $20.
Yeah, we've been playing around with that and like where that fine balance is. And one idea that we were talking about was with the cards and the story cards, perhaps adding 2 cards in there that they can personalize. So like, what's your favorite place in the city? You can highlight that story through that card. So when you order or subscribe, you can list that in. So it's something we're talking about.
How local is local? You know, because usually San Francisco, the temperatures there can be here. You know, you could be in a place in the Sunset versus Soma. And so, like, how much legwork do you guys with your cards are going to do? Like, hyper local?
It's not hyper. It's San Francisco. So it's a city and a region if the city won't fit. So we did a bunch of thinking about that. What if you moved? So again, let's go back to Dayton, Ohio. Dayton's not a bad place. There's things happening there, but perhaps you have to do the region around Dayton too. Whereas San Francisco, you could probably do San Francisco, right? Oakland, you might be able to do Oakland. So we're thinking cities, and if cities don't fit, then a region. And in many cases, the bloggers are going to help with that. Being able to expand, they're going to be able to help with what does local really mean.
I guess the other side of that could be potentially, because the host is gonna know something that's like there, where maybe part of the card thing is like it's almost like a self-publishing platform where you provide your assets and then the host gets to say the coffee shop around the corner, so you provide the like coffee.
That's right.
Message.
I think the same thing goes with products. Like, if there are specific products that host likes, give them the San Francisco options, and they choose the ones that they actually want to have. And that also gives you the option of featuring local brand Triangle who wants to be on your site. You put them there, they're in a promoted place maybe, or they're just there. And it's up to the host to actually choose it.
Yeah, it would also help if I'm here for 2 weeks. I want to stay in one place 1 week and another place the next week. But people are using Kishu on the same months.
I have a couple of comments. One is, I think we have kind of a 2-parter here, which is
you're in the welcoming business, but I think you're also in the exploration business. And so like, I think you need to think about how do I leverage both of these to create a bigger vision. To say, like the hospitality business is 16 billion or whatever, but how big is the exploration business? Like how big do people want to explore things, try new things?
Yeah.
You know, that's where the cards come in as a product themselves.
Yeah.
And so how do you then grow that and create a bigger vision around that? And then tap into those emotions in that bigger vision and bring us into that emotional place right off the bat. Like people love to explore places, but they want to feel at home. Right? And so we're like the base camp of the explorer to a snack. You know, to a welcoming little snack. And so it's like a really small idea of a big idea. Right?
Yeah.
And then I think, for this is for everybody. Adventure Night, you got to say, this is real. We're psyched about this. Let me tell you what we're doing. And you got to make everybody believe that this is real. And it is real. So what have you done? What are your depths are? Where's your expertise? Where do you need help? How much, boxes have you done? How much money have you spent? Like really lay out the reality of this. And we're kind of at this moment, we're all almost diagramming, conceptly, well, maybe we'll do this, maybe we won't do this, or like, oh, maybe we'll use Amazon servers or we won't, I don't know, You should know, right, by Venture Night. And so, really focus on making real statements about the real world of adventure.
That's great.
Just one thing to add to that is if you don't know, it's okay to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I think you can make a call whether we want to lie or not.
It's more powerful to say I don't know than to make it up on the spot.
Yeah.
Depends what the man with the money wants to hear, right?
Depends what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Fabrication is to be checked online.
Yeah, you're the fact checker of Venture Night.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
No, just.
Okay. One more.
I was at the beginning you said you're trying to create consistent experiences for the Airbnb. And then, so I was thinking, if hosts start acquiring this box and paying the $10, so then it's going to be some hosts who are going to buy it and some hosts who aren't. So that's already kind of like creating some inconsistency. And I see that could be a little problematic in terms of like Airbnb, then seeing that this product is being sold to the host, but then then people are going to start asking like, oh, I didn't got the Kishu when I went to this Airbnb. So I don't know if you guys have think about that. Like, might not be, I don't know, maybe the approach might be more to Airbnb than to exactly the host. But I don't know, something needs to think about.
So it's funny, Airbnb is really, they're very focused on their own offering, and they aren't really in a market, it seems, from what we've talked to from there, as well as people who've worked frequency with them about taking on at this point, other add-ons. They're trying to either do it themselves or let people do it. So that sort of engagement with Airbnb directly seems like it's not the best way.
If all the best hosts do this, that's the top of the list. So the people that don't do are never seen because they're down under the pole.
Yeah. And Airbnb is trying to provide that education to us with their calls and comments. Like they're already helping us to actually get on board because they're actually telling us to do these things for their guests. So.
Great, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Let's move down one more.